she has done as a person, the sacrifices that she's made, the games that she hasn't played.
Glogo Sips USA presents one of the most shocking twists in the ongoing collapse of the Brown family. A moment so jaw-dropping, even longtime fans are struggling to believe it's real. It begins with Kody Brown, once a proud father of 18, and self-proclaimed spiritual leader of a plural family, now reduced to what many insiders are calling the most manipulative version of himself. The shocking claim: Kody has allegedly threatened to cut off financial support for his own children unless Janelle, his former wife and the woman who stood by him through decades of sacrifice, agrees to pay Robyn's massive tax bill. Read that right? In what appears to be a bold and cruel power move, Kody has cornered Janelle, insisting that unless she steps in to rescue Robyn from the consequences of her financial missteps, their children will pay the price. According to multiple insiders close to the family, this explosive ultimatum wasn't made in a group discussion or any kind of civil conversation. No, it was delivered in private, laced with that same smug, condescending tone that viewers of Sister Wives have come to recognize all too well. And Janelle, she didn't yell, she didn't argue, she froze. Her expression, according to one person in the room, was sheer disgust. Because how could she not be disgusted? After everything she's done, raising 6 kids largely on her own, managing household budgets like a hawk, while Kody and Robyn burned through money like it was falling off the trees in Flagstaff, he now expects her to bail out Robyn's financial mess. And it's not some minor oversight or unpaid cable bill. No, the tax bill in question is allegedly connected to Robyn and Kody's luxurious $1 million mansion, the same one with elegant custom archways and that infamous walk-in doll gallery. The whispers say the unpaid amount reaches into the tens of thousands, so outrageous that Janelle reportedly laughed out loud when she first heard it. But that moment of disbelief quickly dissolved into anger once she realized Kody wasn't joking, because he allegedly followed up his demand with a chilling threat. "If you don't help us with this," he said, "I don't know how we're going to keep paying for your children's extras." Not our children. Not the children. Your children, as if they ceased being his the moment Janelle stopped being his obedient servant wife. The emotional blackmail was staggering, and fans online are already tearing apart the implications. Kody's authority, once cemented by his role as the patriarch of a plural family, slipping, and his responses seem to be growing more desperate by the day. But here's the real kicker. Janelle might not even be the only wife he's tried this on. According to sources, this isn't just a singular manipulation. It may be part of a disturbing pattern. So how did Robyn's tax bill suddenly become Janelle's problem in the first place? That's what fans everywhere are asking. After all, Janelle was always the financial brain of the family, the practical one. The spreadsheet queen who lived in modest rentals while Kody and Robyn shopped for high-end dream homes. So why now, after years of prudence and sacrifice, is she the one being asked to clean up Robyn's financial disaster? It turns out that Robyn's $1 million home, a source of tension for years, has reportedly been accumulating unpaid property taxes and penalty fees for over 2 years. According to insiders, the notices started small and quiet. But with each passing deadline, the penalties snowballed into something catastrophic. And the most damning part? Robyn allegedly kept the growing problem hidden from Janelle. She didn't say a word, not until the amount became too large to handle alone. And only then, when her back was against the wall, did she go to Kody? But instead of urging Robyn to take accountability or consider downsizing, Kody allegedly turned and dropped the whole crisis in Janelle's lap like a bomb with a short fuse. And here's where Kody's logic goes completely off the rails. He reportedly justified this transfer of responsibility by claiming that Janelle's name had once been loosely connected to the family's financial trusts and LLCs, as if that somehow made her responsible for saving Robyn's house from foreclosure. Let that sink in. The same Robyn who was living lavishly while the other wives tightened their belts. The same Robyn who barely contributed to the collective family effort when it came to the hard work, the budgeting, the sacrifices. She's the one being protected, while Janelle, the one who did everything right, is being asked to compromise her own children's futures. Janelle didn't take it lying down. According to one insider, her answer was sharp, clear, and final. Absolutely not. No negotiations, no guilt. No self-sacrificing excuses. She drew a line, a boundary the old Janelle might have been. Too polite to enforce, but not anymore. But Kody, in his typical relentless style, reportedly wouldn't let it go. He pushed further, trying to dress up his demand in the language of family unity. "Do you want to be the reason your kids lose their support?" he allegedly asked her. But Janelle didn't blink. Calm as ever, she is said to have stared him down and replied, "You already made that choice." And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any worse, Robyn made her move. But it wasn't an apology, wasn't a desperate attempt to sell off her luxury decor or trim her expenses. No, according to insiders, Robyn privately reached out to one of Janelle's adult children, not to ask for understanding, but to try and manipulate them. She allegedly framed the situation as a family emergency and asked them to talk sense into their mother. Think about that. Robyn, who stood by while Kody threatened to abandon these very same kids, allegedly went behind Janelle's back and tried to emotionally blackmail her child into doing what she couldn't. This wasn't a financial issue anymore. It became a full-blown betrayal, and the fallout. That's only just beginning.
Mary, Janelle, and Christine have talked me from the beginning of all of our marriages.
The moment Robyn reached out to one of Janelle's children, everything shattered. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was personal, calculated, and cruel. The attempt to manipulate Janelle's own child to guilt her into paying off Robyn's. Back taxes sent shockwaves through the Brown family. Janelle's fury, according to a close family source, was volcanic. She wasn't just angry, she was devastated, blindsided, and disgusted. To see Robyn go behind her back and paint a half-truth, omitting the years of ignored tax notices and instead selling it as a simple hiccup, wasn't just dishonest, it was manipulative theater. And once her child returned to her with questions, the entire web unraveled. That was the moment, insiders say, when the confrontation finally exploded. One of the most intense and emotional off-camera clashes since Christine packed up and walked away. Janelle didn't mince words. She reportedly told Robyn in a flat, unwavering voice, "Do not use my children as pawns. Not ever again." Robyn's response, predictable. Tears at familiar emotional masks she's worn like armor for over a decade. But this time, Janelle didn't budge. There was no pity, no softening. As one insider put it bluntly, she's done coddling, and who could blame her? After years of watching Robyn collect the rewards of a family she barely contributed to, after all the personal sacrifice, the exhaustion, the loneliness, this was the final straw. Robyn, who claimed to value unity, never once offered to sell even a single item to help fix the mess she'd created. Not the luxury SUV parked in her driveway, not the expensive custom jewelry collection that fans estimate could fetch tens of thousands. Certainly not the infamous doll room, a shrine to excess that stood untouched while financial chaos brewed underneath. Instead of accountability, Robyn doubled down. According to insiders, she insisted that the family as a whole needed to step in. But which family? The one she distanced herself from for over a decade. The same children whose birthdays she now routinely forgets. The contradiction was staggering. And just when the silence surrounding her tax bill seemed deafening, the internet exploded. Allegedly leaked screenshots of overdue property tax notices tied to Robyn's home began circulating online, full of parcel numbers, dates, and most shocking of all, a figure that made fans gasp, $36,000. That number sent the Sister Wives fandom into a frenzy. And with no official denial or explanation from Robyn or Kody, the question that began echoing across forums, YouTube videos, and Reddit threads was simple and scathing. What has Robyn been doing with all the TLC money? It's a question long overdue. For years, Robyn's lifestyle has stood in sharp contrast to the rest of the family. The big house, the newer car, the live-in nanny, all while the other wives scraped together money for basics. But this wasn't just about uneven spending anymore. This was about Kody weaponizing fatherhood, allegedly threatening to pull financial support from his own children if Janelle refused to bail out Robyn's debt. And the alleged specifics chilled fans to the bone. Kody didn't just suggest cutting. Back sources say he explicitly named the things he'd stopped paying for: Hunter's car insurance, Savannah's phone bill, Gabriel's college emergency fund. These weren't luxuries. These were everyday needs, essentials any loving father would support without hesitation. But in Kody's hands, they became weapons, emotional ransom in a battle to protect Robyn's comfort. And while Janelle stood firm, Robyn stayed silent. No apologies, no denial, not even a whisper of protest. Not until the internet backlash threatened to blow the whole thing wide open. When the storm hit social media, Robyn allegedly scrambled into private damage control. Insiders claim she reached out to Mary, hoping to sway her with emotional appeals, that the family would only survive if they stood together, that solving the legal mess would benefit everyone. But Mary, she didn't bite. Her response hasn't been confirmed, but the radio silence from her camp has spoken volumes. Meanwhile, Janelle's children, now adults, have begun to rally around their mother. One reportedly posted a now-deleted message online cryptically suggesting they knew exactly what was going on and they wouldn't stay silent forever. That one comment lit a fire in the fandom. Speculation exploded. Was a family tell-all coming? Would the older Brown children finally break their silence and expose what really happened behind the scenes? If so, the consequences could be enormous. Not just a PR nightmare, but a total collapse of the narrative Kody and Robyn have spent years building. And speaking of collapsing stories, fans uncovered something truly chilling hidden in Arizona's public records. A link between Robyn's tax debt and a stream of suspicious PayPal transactions dating back nearly 4 years. It began with a single image, a blurry screenshot from what appeared to be a PayPal business account tied to the Brown family's old shared LLC. One that Janelle and Christine had officially stepped away from years ago. But Robyn and Kody, allegedly, they never dissolved it. Instead, they may have kept it active, quietly using it behind the scenes. According to internet sleuths poring over public databases, the account was still active as recently as last fall, and the payments, eye-opening. One dated December 2020 allegedly listed reimbursement, decor upgrades. Another from July 2021 reportedly read monthly nanny budget. But the one that truly sent fans spiraling is an $8,000 transaction, simply labeled tax assist. No breakdown, no explanation. Just those 2 words and a money trail that, according to insiders, led straight back to an account only Kody and Robyn accessed after the family began to fracture. The theory that emerged was chilling, that the PayPal account had never been shut down and that funds were quietly funneling into Robyn's private expenses. Long after the other wives believed they were financially independent. If true, it means Janelle and Christine may have unknowingly supported Robyn's lifestyle long after they walked away. And while the authenticity of the screenshots hasn't been confirmed by any official source, one alleged former crew member told a blogger that certain cast members suspected money was still moving, they just didn't know where, which brings the entire story full circle. This wasn't just about an unpaid bill. It was about a slow-burning deception, one that may have stretched across years, because according to new whispers, someone always knew that tax bill existed, that it had been quietly growing like mold in the corners of a luxury home. And instead of solving the problem, they waited, delayed, deliberately allowed it to snowball into a crisis. Why? Insiders say it was all part of a calculated plan. One that involved delaying disclosure until the situation became urgent enough to frame it as an emergency. The goal? To pressure Janelle into either rejoining financial ties with the family or, at the very least, absorb part of the fallout. A manipulative strategy designed to paint Robyn as a fragile victim of circumstances, when in truth, she may have orchestrated the entire thing. As one source described it, this wasn't a mistake. This was a setup. But if that was the plan, it's backfiring, because instead of breaking, Janelle has hired a lawyer. Insiders say she's launched her own quiet investigation, digging into exactly how much money moved through that old PayPal account since her name was still attached. And if the numbers confirm what fans fear, she may be able to force Robyn and Kody to pay it all back, because this isn't just about guilt or manipulation anymore. It's about legal accountability. And Janelle, she's not backing down. Not this time. Not after everything she's endured. Not while her children's futures hang in the balance. And just as the legal wheels begin to turn, another voice from the shadows steps forward. A person claiming to have worked with a former financial assistant linked to the show. Their allegation: that Robyn has known for months just how bad the tax situation was, and that she kept it quiet on purpose. She allegedly waited until it was unfixable before bringing it to Kody, betting that if the crisis seemed urgent enough, Janelle would fold. But Janelle didn't. And now the web of secrets, money trails, and manipulation is starting to unravel in real time. The strategy: expose it as a shared emergency, guilt Janelle into action, and save Robyn one last time. But Janelle isn't interested in fairy tales anymore. This time, she's writing her own ending, and it's not the one Kody and Robyn expected. As the courtroom door slowly creaked shut behind Robyn, the silence that followed wasn't just stillness, it was suffocating. The judge had made it clear there would be no further appeals. The division of Coyote Pass land was now final. Robyn, once the queen of Kody Brown's fractured empire, now stood on the outside of everything she had fought for, watching it crumble without the power to stop it. Kody remained slumped in his seat, jaw clenched, unable to process what had just unfolded. His world, his control, his wives. His future had just been stripped away in front of an audience of former allies turned adversaries. But it was Robyn who looked truly lost, her face pale, lips trembling, clutching her bag as if it were the last thread tethering her to a life that no longer existed. Meanwhile, Janelle and Mary exchanged a long look, one filled with both relief and disbelief. This victory wasn't about vengeance. It was about reclaiming their voices after years of being sidelined and silenced. Christine, though not directly involved in the court battle, stood beside them with quiet support. She had already forged a new path with David away from the chaos. But seeing Robyn's empire fall brought an unexpected wave of emotion. It wasn't joy, nor was it pity. It was the sharp ache of knowing this didn't have to be the way things ended. But Robyn chose power, and power deserted her the moment the courts saw through the illusion. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed, and reporters swarmed, hoping to capture every ounce of drama. But Robyn refused to speak. Kody followed her closely, trying to shield her from the noise, though his presence did little to help. His silence wasn't protective, it was cowardice. In contrast, Mary stood tall before the press, her voice steady. She acknowledged the pain that had led to this moment, but emphasized that this ruling was about justice, not revenge. Janelle echoed her sentiment, adding that healing could only begin once truth was acknowledged and lies were no longer rewarded. Their words struck a chord with fans and followers who had witnessed the deterioration of the Brown family for years on television. Back at Coyote Pass, the land felt different. For the first time in years, it wasn't a battlefield. Walked the perimeter with her boots kicking up dust, imagining what her future could finally look like without the weight of unresolved conflict. The mountain air, once thick with tension, now carried promise. Mary, too, visited her portion of the land once a fantasy, now a tangible reality. She stood under a cluster of trees, tears in her eyes, whispering a thank you to the universe. This wasn't just dirt and rock. This was the foundation of independence, of new beginnings, of finally being seen. Robyn, on the other hand, didn't. Returned to Coyote Pass. She retreated to the rented house she and Kody now shared, one they could barely afford. The financial strain was real. Legal bills had drained their resources, and TLC's future with them looked grim. Rumors swirled that producers were rethinking contracts, especially with fan favorites Janelle and Christine gaining popularity on social media. Robyn sat in her bedroom scrolling through headlines that painted her as the villain again. Her name trended on every platform, not for the reasons she once dreamed of, but for the downfall she could no longer spin. Aurora, seeing her mother in that broken state, couldn't stay silent. For the first time, she confronted Robyn. "Why did you lie to everyone? Why did you let it get this far?" Her voice cracked under the weight of years she had tried to protect her mother's image, but now even she could no longer ignore the truth. Robyn didn't respond. She just cried deep guttural sobs that echoed through the house. Kody watched from the doorway, helpless and haunted. The man who once commanded his family now stood as a ghost of himself, powerless to mend the devastation he helped create. Meanwhile, Christine invited Janelle and Mary to her home for dinner. It was the first time in years that laughter filled a space once marred by distrust. David, ever the gracious host, grilled outside while the women reminisced and plotted the future that no longer included survival but celebration. They talked about joint ventures, book deals, retreats, and land development. They were no longer just the other wives. They were entrepreneurs, mothers, and survivors who had turned their pain into purpose. And yet, amidst all this triumph, there was still grief. Mary admitted late into the night that part of her still mourned the dream, the one where they all grew old together. Watching grandchildren run through shared yards, I held on too long, she confessed. But I needed to know I gave it everything before I let it go. Janelle placed a hand on her shoulder. You did. We all did. But sometimes letting go is the bravest thing. Christine nodded, smiling through tears. They were no longer bound by titles, by roles, by a man who never truly saw them. They were free. Kody's spiral continued. Without land, without leadership, without unity, he became a man in exile. He tried reaching out to his older children, but most ignored his calls. Garrison refused entirely, stating he had nothing left to say to the father who abandoned them emotionally and financially. Gabe, still raw from past betrayals, wrote a letter but never sent it. Even Logan, the eldest, remained distant. Kody had burned too many bridges. And now, standing on the ashes, he realized too late that loyalty must be earned, not demanded. Robyn tried to salvage what she could. She pitched a podcast idea about truth and healing, but networks weren't interested. She attempted an Instagram Live, hoping to sway public opinion, but the comments were brutal. Liar, manipulator, queen of nothing. Each word chipped away at the carefully curated image she had spent years crafting. Eventually, she deleted her accounts, retreating from the world that once admired her. 1 week later, news broke that TLC would be greenlighting a new spin-off, not with Kody and Robyn, but with Christine, Janelle, and Mary, titled Sister Strong. The series promised to follow their lives post-polygamy, highlighting their growth, challenges, and new beginnings. The announcement broke the internet. Fans rejoiced. Petitions circulated to remove Kody and Robyn from future TLC programming entirely. It was clear the tide had turned, and the audience was no longer interested in excuses. They wanted empowerment. They wanted truth. And they found it in the women who chose to rise rather than stay broken. Kody, upon hearing the news, flew into a rage. He accused the network of betrayal.